The flag, because the flag the flag is drenched with our blood. Because you see, so many of our ancestors was killed because we have never accepted slavery. We had to live on it, but we've never wanted it. So we know that this flag is drenched with our blood. So what the young people are saying now, give us a chance to be young men, respected as a man. As we know, this country was built on the black back of black people across this country. And if we don't have it, you ain't gonna have it either, because we gonna tear it up. That's what they saying. And people ought to understand that. I don't see why they don't understand that. They know what they've done to us. All across this country, they know what they've done to us.
Video is for Samuel Jackson and Samuel Jackson only, and I'm going to do my best to get through it without crying, but I cannot make any promises. But I want to explain why his role as Uncle Sam hit me so hard, why it was my favorite part of the entire performance, and why it's making me emotional. Now, while his entire performance as Uncle Sam was stellar, it was jarring, it was challenging, it was so many things, there is one line that he said that has really hit a lot of us deeply, and I know it hit me deeply, and that was the deduct one life line. Now, for those who don't know, Uncle Samuel Jackson has been about that life. He has been a part of the civil rights movement. He was a part of the Black Panther movement. He has done protests, and he has seen, touched, and felt the hard work our ancestors endured for us to have our freedoms that we have today, if you can say we have freedoms. But the reason why the deduct one lifeline hit me so deeply is because that was the tail end of him saying, oh, you got your buddies with you. Cultural cheat code, scorekeeper, deduct one life. You know who I thought about? MLK Jr. Us being a community, they don't like that. That is the cultural cheat code. So what do they do whenever we get together in camaraderie and remind ourselves of who we are? They deduct one life. Did y'all know that Samuel Jackson was an usher at Martin Luther King Jr.'s funeral? This is where I get a little emotional, because who better to talk about playing the game than an elder Black man whose hands have touched the result of us trying to play and beat the game? Who better to talk about playing the game than a man who has been around and seen it all, done it all, and tried to navigate it all? Who better than to tell you how to play the white man's game than a Black man who has survived it, you know? Samuel Jackson, if you ever get to see this, I hope you understand and know just how revered and appreciated you are in the Black community. And as much as it saddens me that even in you being an elder, you still are saying the same things and fighting for the same thing you have spent your entire life fighting for, I hope you know that your role in this halftime show, I don't think I even fully grasp the impact that it has and will have for years to come. This video is for Samuel Jackson and
Good morning, good morning, good morning, and
Morning.
another beautiful morning, because we got Niel with us.
Hey.
Welcome to Let It Be Known. With we're gonna say, well, let it be known with Niel and Stacy. How about
I
that?
like I like Stacy and Neil.
You like that?
I'm co-pilot.
Well, listen. the young lady, that was some video. She got emotional. There's a lot to that performance, though, right? We discussed it a little bit more, and it was a lot to it. As I said yesterday, you really brought out some things I even hadn't thought about. Um, but the importance of Kendrick's performance, again, it seems to resonate even more as people go back and watch it a second time.
Hmm. And that clip with Fannie Lou Hamer, I mean, one of my favorite quotes by her is, "I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired." And it seems like we get over it and then we're right back there again. And so there's just so many. And then the other clip with the Samuel L. Jackson, even digesting Kendrick's performance more. And it was a reference not to just Uncle Sam, but Uncle Tom. I mean, the metaphors were just, and Samuel L. Jackson acknowledged that. And he stood in that. And like I was saying, last thing, when I went back and watched the whole scene of the flag and how Kendrick was standing in the middle, but realizing that all of the people making up the flag were Black men and how he looked. And, I hope that resonated with Donald Trump because he left after the performance, word on the street. So it was just, I would encourage everybody to go back and look at that performance a couple more times because that is the beauty of art. It tells stories and weaves stories that sometimes you catch later.
Well, one of the things we were talking about too, and you mentioned this too, is like the importance of his message. Like, um, many may not have understood, but how important it was that it was no shucking and jiving. No just okay, let me just
Twerking?
go out and have fun and party and this and that. This wasn't this. The moment didn't call for that.
Mm-mm. We're in a state of emergency in this country. And I think instead of taking the easy route, I know Charlemagne the God, and a lot of people were saying, oh, I wish he would have sung some of his more bigger hits. But the fact that he opened up the halftime show with a song nobody even knew, it wasn't about that. It was about sending a message of unapologetically Blackness, our struggles, and what makes us great. I even love how he kept it LA. Like, I'm going to bring LA to you. I've heard what you guys said that LA music is just regional, it doesn't transcend across the country. Well, guess what? It's going to be on a national stage, on Sunday. And so it was just so many metaphors there.
so so if you like slow like me, you should go back and watch it so you can understand.
You came back today, so it's sinking in. And like I said, that's the beauty of art. It tells stories sometimes that you don't catch, but if you watch it again, you're like, aha, aha.
Yeah, yeah. Well, today we got a special guest coming up a little bit later, Dr. Jamal Bryant, and he's bringing a very important message. So you want to stay tuned for that. We're looking forward to him joining us this morning on Let It Be Known. But there's several things going on, Neil, and before I forget, because I will forget to talk about this, but Mayor Eric Adams is in the clear now. The Trump's Department of Justice has ordered charges to be dropped against him, dismissed against him. And this is what he was angling for when he did all of the performative stuff of kissing the ring and going down to Mar-a-Lago and then going to the wrestling match at the Garden and making sure that he went over and did obeisance to Trump. so um, it's whether he's innocent or guilty, we will never know.
Hmm. Well,
That's really the bottom line.
we'll never know, huh?
No, we'll never know. He got the pass. He got the hall pass he was looking for from Trump. And what's ironic though is this, and everything you see the irony in everything that this administration is doing. And listen, I don't have anything against Eric Adams. He is who he is. He flip flops. You can't trust him, et cetera, et cetera. I would never trust him with a rock. A useless rock. I would not trust the man, but he is who he is, right?
Right.
But all the ironies that you have already seen in the Trump administration that you'll continue to see is something like this. He claimed that Trump claimed that the Biden administration, Biden in particular, meddled in the Department of Justice. He
Right.
clearly is he clearly is meddling in the Department of Justice. He is
Well,
favoring people. He is his attorney general has already said that they're going after people who went after Trump. So he's clearly using the Department of Justice.
oh, for sure. I mean, all of his picks do his bidding. You saw that in the committee hearings. And yesterday we were talking about Letitia James, Attorney General in New York, and Alvin Braggs, and Trump denying their access. But here you turn around, they don't have any charges against them. They don't have a record, but you want to take away their clearance and kick them out of certain spaces that they were elected to be in. And then you have this situation right here. I mean, the hope, if you're in the city of New York, if you're looking at candidates, one you might want to pay attention to is Michael Blake. He's the former assembly member. He's running for mayor in New York. And so when these types of things happen, we can be outraged, but we have to assess the situation and look at the choices ahead of us. And if you don't like this in New York, check out Michael Blake. And I believe Chris Cuomo's, isn't his brother running again too?
Andrew and Andrew right now, again, we don't trust polls, right? We never trust
Hmm.
polls. But if you go by the early polls, this guy is like Andrew Cuomo has like the biggest lead you could possibly have in a field of like 8 people.
Hmm.
Guy has right now is considered the overwhelming, not odds on, but overwhelming favorite to win election come this spring when the primaries are held in New York. And I think it's May is when the mayoral primary is. So
Hmm.
you'll see. And ironically, May is when Eric Adams's trial was to begin.
Well, we should try to get Michael Blake on. He's the huge advocate of Black issues, of social justice issues. He's running for mayor. And when we have spaces like this, we should definitely uplift those candidates that, represent what we're looking for.
Absolutely, we got to hear what he has to say, and I'm sure he wants to speak to an audience like ours. So,
Hmm.
yes, we got to do it. And Neil, so have you done any grocery shopping? I mean, how is your wallet treating you when it comes to eggs? Because you got Trader Joe's, Sprout, Costco, are among those who are limiting access. You can only purchase, I think, 2 dozen of eggs at a time at these stores.
For sure. I mean, I was at the grocery store this weekend, literally, and I stood in front of the egg section for a minute because I was digesting 11.99 for a dozen of eggs. And then I saw for the small AA eggs, they were 7.99. And I was like, I have 3 eggs at home. Let me get some eggs. But it's bananas. It's bananas. And CNN is reporting that it's not Biden's fault. And it's really not Trump's fault either, but because he's president, it's his problem. And so this is something that he can't blame Biden for. And what's even more disturbing is how he is regulating FDA, right? So he's telling FDA to stop sending out information if the eggs had bird flu. And so not only do we have high prices, but we should be concerned about not getting messages about what's good to eat and what's not good to eat.
Right. Listen, it's a full-on mess here, and but you say it's not Trump's fault, it's not Biden's fault, and it's true. But remember, Donald Trump said, "Oh, at the moment he takes office, all these prices were going to go down. They've gone up.
Promise unkept.
Promises unkept." RNG says MAGA people are stealing eggs. He says it's definitely Trump's fault. And Trixie says in New York, so those bodegas know what they be doing, don't they? She says that they sell one egg for $1.25,
Wow.
and
Like
Mike Lee is
dollar
paying
25.
$19 a dozen where he's at. So good night. But
I
one
paid
$1.25 an egg. Remember they used to sell. Wait a minute though. It reminds me. I never smoked in my life and won't. But
uh
it reminds me of the Lucy cigarettes. They sell You go to the bodega and buy one cigarette for like, what was it, like 20 cents or something like that?
Yeah, now it's probably like $3.
Right.
But I bought an onion, a red onion, and it cost me $2.59 for one red onion.
Good night. What's happening? So prices are going up. As the man said, the rent is too damn high. Um, Everything's going up. People can't afford to breathe. And but wages are not going up.
Mm, true, true.
So what is going on? What is real? I guess we're gonna have to talk to Dr. Bryant about that, huh? See what he has to say. Um, Daniela Pierre says, I'm still asking who laying them eggs.
Okay. Hopefully not a chicken with bird flu.
Thank you. Listen, but that's the other thing, right? So
Right.
I'm hearing more and more people though, Neil, something that I remember like when I was a kid, you saw so much of this. My grandmother did it, raising, having their garden and growing their own vegetables and stuff like that. And there are folks, depending on where you live, they got chickens and stuff like that. Folks are talking about maybe they need to start raising chickens.
Right. So a friend of mine she bought a farm. This was maybe like 10 years ago. And we used to laugh at her. She has chickens. I think she has a cow and she has some other things. And we used to think it was a joke. But now we're like, homegirl, can we get some eggs? And can
Right.
we go get some milk?
Oh man, you'll be asking her for some meat soon too. Sure.
Okay. And
Wow. Wow.
you can buy, that you can buy portions of a cow and they ship it to you. A friend of mine hooked me up to that, and she was like, I think I'm gonna purchase a portion of a cow, and they cut it up and then they send you, your portions of it. So I mean, and it's an organic cow, I guess, or a healthy, a grass-fed cow. And so they do have those options for you. So we might have to go back to that.
We'll start giving up meat altogether. How about that? Mm, I don't know if I
Think I
can.
could be a pescatarian. I think the furthest I would go is pescatarian.
So pescatarian exactly is what now?
Just a seafood.
Seafood. Okay. Okay.
I love me some seafood, so I think
Yeah,
I
I
would.
used to love seafood too. I don't love it as much though anymore. I mean, I
Mm.
could deal with it. I mean,
Mhm.
give me some tuna fish. I'll be okay. I could be
I
a
want a
fish
whole
man.
snap. Give me a whole snapper, like
Oh,
Caribbean
okay.
style, and.
No, I can deal with some catfish. I love catfish. Give me some hot.
Mm. But that's what it may have to go back to. We might have to do our own fishing, right?
Mhm.
We may have to find some space in our backyard to have a garden, grow some tomatoes, grow some green beans, get back to the basics.
Yeah, we're being forced to do stuff like that. It's true, and people are reacting to the rise in prices under Trump administrations in the pettiest way possible. They are they're doing stuff. What are some of the stuff you've noticed?
So there's a few grocery stores back in the Midwest down south where people are taking Trump pictures and putting them on the high prices of food and saying he did it. So people are out there being petty, and they're making the viral
I love it.
videos. Hey, put the blame on somebody. And since he's in office, he inherited these problems. So you can't blame nobody else but yourself. And based upon who you're picking as your appointees, the problem's only going to get worse for him. How about that?
How about make the prices great again? How about
Make
that?
them low again.
Right. Exactly. I see RNG has to throw in the fact that we should start eating. He said, y'all better start eating crawfish. They are cheaper than eggs.
Oh, wow. Well, it's Mardi Gras season, so crawfish are in.
It's Mardi Gras season for him year round. You'll learn about this guy here.
Okay, okay,
He
okay.
with the, he doesn't he keeps all his money under the mattress. He gives out student
Mm,
loans that he charges like 45% interest on and stuff like that. So this
mm.
he's a retired military man who makes sure he gets his check even if nobody else in government gets theirs. Somehow
Oh,
he
okay.
he met. Yeah, yeah. So you gotta watch this guy. You gotta watch him.
Oh,
Keep your eye on
oh,
him.
I will.
ONG.
Okay. Thanks
But
for the heads up.
but keep an eye though. I say keep an eye. But speaking of inflation and high costs, your girl is about to go on tour. The Beyonce Cowboy Carter Chitlin Circuit tickets go on sale today.
Today is the day, Beehive. And she actually added some more dates to, I believe it was Chicago, some London dates. Where else? What?
Oh,
Yeah, London, Chicago, Paris, and Atlanta. And the real thing people are wanting to know is what about this Vegas date? Because she had on her flyer all the cities and states she was in countries she was going to. She announced Las Vegas, but there's still no dates. So a lot of people are thinking she might be doing a residency after these dates
oh.
are she does these shows and then she'll end up in Vegas. So today tickets go on sale for all the Beehive. And I'm one of those hivers that's waiting with my crew to purchase our
Mhm.
tickets to go see the
So,
Queen.
okay, so how much are you willing to pay? What's your limit? If do you have do you have a limit when it comes to Beyonce?
I'm not going to say my limit because people are probably going to think I'm crazy. But I will say Beyonce, Kendrick Lamar, and everybody else selling these tickets, I would appreciate if they would think about their fans. Last time Beyonce was here, I think me and my sister paid about $800 for our tickets a
Her?
piece. A piece. It was definitely worth it, but I am a believer that the fans that make you who you are not millionaires. They're not 100,000aires. They're just regular people going to work every day, listening to your song on the commute on the freeway to work. And so think about those people when you're charging all these ridiculous prices.
How much do artists how much can artists control that today? Or can they at all? Do you think?
Oh, somebody like Beyonce can control her prices. It's Beyonce. It's Jay-Z. It's Rock Nation. It's Parkwood. They have all the control. They can control ticket prices. And knowing that we were talking about how much we're paying for eggs, can we get a break on like just the mindless behavior of entertainment? It's supposed to take us away. It's not supposed
Right.
to be like paying rent, right? Beyonce, help a sister out.
But it proves another point, though, that I've always said that regardless of people's financial situation, regardless of the economy, people are going to pay for entertainment. They're gonna come.
Mhm.
We saw it even during the pandemic, in a lot of different ways too. When we started doing these live programs, it was I want to say the end of March, beginning of April of 2020, as the pandemic began, and what showed me that people will pay for it is that a the subscriptions became out of this world. These that's why Netflix prices are so high, etc. But we also, you name the celebrity, they came on our platform because they also were looking for an applause from somebody that they wasn't getting during the pandemic, right? They were looking for that validation that was all of a sudden gone because during the pandemic we were all the same for a change, right?
Right,
No one, I don't care how much money you had, you didn't have the advantage over your neighbor because we were all stuck in the house.
right, right.
And so we had so many. I mean, they kept almost every day we had a big time celebrity come on or a big time politician. But people will go out of their way for entertainment. They pay for entertainment and they pay for really entertainment is the number one thing, no matter what. During the
Mhm.
recession, during the pandemic, during whatever, people will pay for entertainment.
Yeah, I mean, it's the gift of mindless behavior. It takes you out of your normal space of just daily living. I mean, and so we need that. It's important to like a healthy balance. It's important to self-care. And so when you have somebody like Beyonce that, she doesn't just give you a concert, she creates an experience. So it's
Mhm.
like, okay, Cowboy Carter, you have to go get the cowboy hat. You need your cowboy boots. You can't just walk up in there, with anything on. You have to commit to the experience like we did with Renaissance.
Yeah.
We had to get the silver and the crystal balls. I mean, the dance balls. So that's one of the things that concerts have transitioned to for
Yeah.
like big artists like Beyonce. It's not just a concert, it's a full experience.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, if Prince was still around, how much I would be willing to pay for.
The fun thing about Prince is when he did a residency out here in LA at the Forum,
Yep.
and it was like for it maybe like 2-3 months, and I went, and tickets were only like $25.
Yeah. Yeah.
It,
He
it was
had
so
a
cool.
a mechanism in which he sold his tickets, the NPG Music Club, and his mission was to keep them affordable. But I just wonder if he and others like Michael Jackson would have been able to sustain those low ticket prices based on A, again, the economy, B, the willingness of people to pay more. And like you said, they gave you an experience like Beyonce. So I just wonder what that's a really interesting thing, but I don't know. I have my limits, but I tell you what, we saw Alicia Keys. We went to
Uh-huh.
Philadelphia and saw Alicia Keys about a year ago, and our prices were really good because I know they were really good. I forget how much, but I can tell you this: it was about 20. We bought a box. We bought a suite.
Mm.
It was like 22 of us, whatever, and it was really cheap. I mean, we were
Re-
able to afford it, and it
So
was
so
great.
box suites for the Kendrick Lamar and SZA concert out here are going for 14,000.
Yeah, certainly Alicia Keys wasn't even anywhere near that.
Yeah, I mean, that's bananas. And then it's like, okay, well, if you get 14 friends, that's 1,000 a piece. But it's like, that's still insane. That doesn't even cover alcohol and food.
Oh, gosh, you gotta cover alcohol. Even if they put some nachos out, you got to have the scotch out. What's wrong with these people? Nonetheless, real quick before, Dr. Bryant arrives, Trump has issued this is I thought this was really interesting. Um, a pause on the enforcement of a law that bans bribery of foreign officials. He's signing the executive order today, directing the Department of Justice to pause enforcing this law that basically says you can't bribe people, foreign people, foreign officials. I mean, am I understanding this right, Niel?
Yes, because number one, it's Donald Trump, and basically he's setting the tone for his administration to go and do whatever. He's setting the tone for his in-laws like Jared Kushner and Kushner corporations to go across the country and do what they did during the first administration. I believe there's so many things. When you look at the Trump administration, I'm more concerned about Jared Kushner, Ivanka Trump, his kids, and all of those
Right.
individuals that are moving through the White House that they don't have clearance. You know what I'm saying? And they have access to all of our intelligence across the world, and they're able to make money off of that. And so that to me, that's what this says. Okay, I'm just gonna erase this so you guys can go and we don't have to worry about anybody, correcting you or checking you for the things that you're doing.
Yeah, it's they're challenging courts and this way. Courts make decisions and the Trump administration decides if they're going to follow it or not. That's interesting to me. Not we talk about what the Democrats are not doing or what the Democrats are not saying or what they may be saying but not doing. But Republicans should be just as taken aback by his actions as Democrats, as anyone else, right?
You would think so, but I just feel like we're in a time now where white supremacy and systemic racism are a top priority for the Trump administration, and they want to take us back instead of forward. So I don't expect any of the Republican Party, either they're for the agenda to keep white power, or either they're afraid to go against the agenda because of the repercussions that will happen to them. So I just think that's the state of our nation right now. And so that's why it's so critical for things like, what Pastor Jamal Bryant is doing and what, us as a community does in response, because this is like days of old. This is pre-civil rights, 1964, 1965 Act. This is where we are right now.
Thanks.
And so we just have to face the reality of that and push forward.
Mm. Wow. Well, yeah, I think you're 100% right. There's no question about it. But Neil, we have as you well know, a very special guest this morning. Dr. Jamal Bryant is the senior pastor of New Birth Missionary Baptist Church and a bold voice in social justice. He has never shied away from speaking truth to power, and now he's leading a call for Black Americans to fast from Target during the 40 days of Lent in response to the company's decision to roll back its diversity, equity, and inclusion commitments, with major corporations like Walmart, McDonald's, and Ford following suit. Dr. Bryant is urging the Black community to take a stand. We welcome Dr. Jamal Bryant to Let It Be Known.
Good morning, family.
Good morning. Thanks for being here.
No, thank you. I can update my resume. I made it to Let It Be Known. I'm grateful.
And by the way, there's no better shirt or sweater that I've seen
No,
that you're wearing.
thank you.
Awesome.
Beautiful
So,
brother in Birmingham, Alabama. Made it.
Nice.
okay, well, go ahead and shout them out.
Yeah, Winslow. Thank you so very much on Instagram. He did a Black History collection for February of great icons of the struggle. And so I'm wearing one every week this year.
Oh, nice,
Love it.
nice. Well, there you go. For us, by us, and that's the way to get it started. Because Dr. Bryant, Target, of course, is rolling back its DE&I commitments, and it is a serious issue. Can you enlighten us? What does it signal to Black consumers?
First, let me thank both of you for having me on. I wanted to give some backdrop that it doesn't just start with diversity, equity, and inclusion. All of you who know is headquartered in the Floyd. After George was Target,
Dr. Bryant, you're breaking up.
I'm sorry.
You're breaking up.
Yeah, we seem to be losing you.
I apologize.
That's okay. No worries.
Uh,
You can start from the beginning. You broke up at
I'm
the
stationed.
beginning.
Okay. Tess, is that better? I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Is that better?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
You're still breaking up. And this conversation is so important. We want our family to hear everything you're saying.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yes. If you don't mind, can I come out and come back?
Yes, exactly.
Please do.
Yeah, and you're 100% right. The conversation is just much too important. We don't want to miss a word of this.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, Pastor Jamal Bryant is the pastor of New Birth Church in Atlanta, Georgia, right?
Atlanta,
Right.
Georgia.
Mhm.
And so there's so much talk about like the what to do when it comes to these companies. We saw Reverend Al Sharpton lead a group of folks into Costco to support Costco because it was still honoring its DE&I commitment. So now with Target and some other companies, and we'll get into that with Dr. Bryant, there's a different approach that's needed. And Dr. Bryant is helping to lead that approach. What might
Right.
be a very effective thing.
And we have them back.
And we have them back.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what went wrong. I'm usually standing 10 toes in. Is that
For
better?
sure. Yes, that's much better. You were starting with
Yes.
DEI.
Yeah, I was saying that my ire with Target is because it goes back before DI. Target is headquarters is in Minneapolis, which, as we
Mhm.
all know, is where George Floyd was murdered. And after the murder of George Floyd, they made a commitment of $2 billion to invest in the Black businesses that is due December of 25. So when it is that they pulled out of the DEI agreement in January, they also canceled their commitment of $2 billion. So that's the part one. Part two is that they are a publicly traded company and one of the few that does a demographic chart on spending. Black people spend $12 million. I hope y'all are ready for this, a day at Target. $12
Wow.
million a day. And so Target is the first one that we're focusing on because of how many dollars are spent there and because of that absence of commitment to our community.
Wow. I had you're right. I had no idea. 12 million a day.
Yes.
Um, so this fast, Dr. Bryant, um, what impact do you hope that this is going to have? And do you see it being? I mean, it's hard to predict these things, I know, but do you
Yeah.
see more and more with the climate that we
Yeah.
are in, more and more African Americans in particular joining this fast?
I asked with specificity when I made the call for Black Christians of consciousness to do the fast. And the reason why I did it is because this is the largest demographic of Black people, one, who don't go to church, and two, who ascribe themselves as atheists. The Black church's influence and impact in the present culture is so anemic that I wanted to model to the community that the Black church doesn't have its head in the sand, but is really being lifted up. So those 40 days of Lent is to synergize Black churches around the country to become engaged in what's taking place, and that we need our prayers and our support. Frederick Douglass said, I got more prayers answered when I got off my knees. So those
Mm.
40 days are just the beginning of it, but it is a rallying cry for Black churches to really clear their throats and lift up their prophetic voice in the hour that we're in.
So I know that you are a part of the Black Church Pack.
Yes.
And so when we look at denominations like AME, CME, Church of God in Christ, has there been a response from those organizations to join in and support?
Yes, absolutely. It's been absolutely amazing. We just rolled out the fast at targetfast.org. It is our hope
Mhm.
that 100,000 believers will sign up by Ash Wednesday, which is March 5th. And as of this morning, 50,000 people have signed in just 1 week. So the traction and the momentum is absolutely overwhelming, and I'm grateful.
Um,
Nice.
Dr. Bryant, some have maintained that corporate DE&I programs were performative from the start, and
Yeah.
what you described with Target and we all remember uh, the commitment after George Floyd. Do you think that this proves that they were just performative?
Absolutely. And that's why if you'll go on the site, targetfast.org, you'll see what the ask is. The ask is not just about reinstating DEI. The reality is white women are the number one beneficiaries of DEI. What I am asking for is $250 million to be invested into Black banks so that our Black businesses might be able to scale. 10 of their distribution centers are near HBCUs. So I'm asking them to partner with the business department of HBCUs because here's what is embarrassing is over 50 years after the signing of the Civil Rights Act, we do not have a minority owned department store to send our people to. Uh, we can't just live off of corner stores and selling waist trainers and tea. We got to figure out
Mhm.
how it is that we're really going to do business at a large level. If we've got over $2 trillion worth of spending power, then we need to have some evidence that lines up with it.
Hmm.
Now, you partnered with Ron Busby, President and CEO of the U.S. Black Chambers. Talk about that partnership and why you felt that was significant.
Yeah, you can't tell people what not to do without showing them what to do. And so when people sign up, they will get a digital directory from the U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce with 300,000 Black businesses around the country. So that if you're not going to Target, you're not going to Walmart, but you need toilet paper, you need soap, you need detergent, we're going to show you where you can get it and how it is that you reinvest back into the Black community.
Nice, nice.
Nice. Wow. So, people are saying also, Dr. Bryant, that these corporations are only responding to the economic and certainly the political pressures that they're getting. What do you say to that?
I said that they're absolutely right. The Montgomery bus boycott gives us the blueprint on how it is that it works. Montgomery shifted, ladies and gentlemen, not because of a speech from Dr. King, not because of a sermon from Ralph Abernathy, but because they broke the economic back of that city. And what America has shown us time and time again, if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense. And so that's why I am not calling for a march or holding up banners. I'm telling people strategically to hold back your dollars because that's what it is that America responds to.
Mm,
It's
mm.
Yeah, and it's funny you say it's ironic you say that because one of our viewers, David Youngblood, was just asking that question of why no filling of the streets with protests and showing up our faces, all of our faces, and I guess you just responded to that.
Yeah, I want to add an addendum to it. I'm not taking this Trump administration lightly. They just released 1,500 hooligans who invaded the Capitol. I believe that we're going to have to be shrewd and have to be wise on how we protest going forward. Don't forget that President Trump, in his last term, wanted to open fire on Black Lives Matter protesters outside of the White House. But it was the Joint Chief of Staff that stopped him from doing it. I think this go round, we're getting ready to see, you all were talking about before I came on, that we can ready to do the electric slide back to the 50s. These handcuffs this time will not be plastic, and I don't think it'll just be an overnight stay. When they're clearing out Guantanamo Bay for undocumented immigrants and for Americans, I think that we can't play checkers when they're playing chess.
Exactly. And we know that that Guantanamo Bay is all about putting money in privatized prisons, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Absolutely.
But you but you brought up Donald Trump in the White House, and he just announced a task force to eradicate anti-Christian bias, and he just appointed a former friend to the Black church, Paula White, as head of the White House faith office. Do you have any thoughts on all that?
Yeah, Frederick Douglass said that America has two Jesuses, one Jesus of the Bible and another Jesus of the nation. The freedom that she's referring to, that she's appointed to, is not to protect the liberation theology that we all ascribe to. Don't forget that at the onset of this administration, they're talking about stripping 501c3s that speak out about Palestine and labeling them as terrorist organizations. If you think that that will not apply to churches that are not white evangelicals, then my friend, you are in a coma. That
Mm.
freedom for Christianity is going to be very partial and very partisan. And it is their intention to try to intimidate the historic prophetic witness of the Black church.
Mm.
Wow. How do you suggest, Dr. Bryant, everyday consumers participate in this boycott or fast effectively without hurting the Black-owned businesses that sell through Target? Because there's been a lot of talk about the Black-owned businesses that sell through Target.
Yeah, social disruption is an inconvenience. When they started the Montgomery bus boycott, there was a murmuring about what will we do about the Black mechanics? Are they going to lose their job in Montgomery? And what they did is they pulled those Black mechanics and set up garages at the churches so that they could work on the cars and the church vans and the church buses. The reason why I partnered with Busby and the Black Chamber of Commerce, U.S. Black Chamber of Commerce, is one, so that those vendors that are in Target can redirect to a drop ship model, and so that the Black consumer can buy directly from the vendor and cut out the middleman. It is not my intention to weaken Black business, but to strengthen them. And I think if we unify our voice, that we'll be able to make a market impact into the economy. Let me add, if I can, that since Black people have been boycotting Target, the stock has dropped by $11. Let me also add that stockholders are now suing Target because of the adverse impact that the boycott has had on their stock. So I think that we're still chipping away and making an impact.
Yeah,
Um,
and go ahead,
go
Ania. I'm sorry.
you go ahead, Stacy.
Well, the Black Press is launching a national public education and selective buying campaign in response to this as well, Dr. Bryan. How critical is this effort from the Black Press, and what impact do you see that having from the Black Press?
Well, let's be mindful that yesterday the New York Times, the Washington Post, and several other well-circulated periodicals were just thrown out of the Pentagon. They no longer have space. So Brett Berg and other leaning periodicals have now taken their place. I think for us to get authentic and genuine news, we got to go back to Black press and the Black radio to give it to us unfiltered. And so I think that you're going to see a renaissance of the strength of the Black media that we've not seen in the last 25 years.
I love that. And we're going to stay on the forefront of that. Before we let you go, Dr. Bryan, everybody's talking about this Kendrick Lamar halftime performance.
Yes.
We want to know what you thought about it and what moments, if there were some, resonated with you.
Thank you. Number one, let me say it was not a performance. It was the best sermon I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to run through three real quick. Number one, the assembling of the flag on the stage was all done by Black men wearing gold teeth, which says that America was built on the back of the Black male and that we did not come here empty-handed. The only thing gold that we have left is in our mouth, how it is that we speak, what we articulate, what we demonstrate. Secondly, Serena Williams was heckled and bombarded with criticism when she did the Crip Walk at Wimbledon, but she was praised and celebrated when she did it at the Super Bowl. It's not what you do, it's where you do it that shows how it is that you're valued and you're appreciated. Number three, let's not forget that the backdrop was on Squid Games, which became popular during the pandemic, an Asian film that shows the poor fighting just to eat and to stay alive. America is the new Squid Games. Cornel West says America is the only place in the world where you have a class called the working poor, that you can work 40 hours and you still don't have enough. So I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was artistry at its best. And I think it has brought us into the second part of the Harlem Renaissance 2.0.
Wow,
Love it.
that's high praise. It's high praise. And I have to ask, we're talking a lot about the fast and focusing on Target, but tell us about whether you see this expanding beyond Target to other corporations who have backed away or reneged on their DE&I promises.
Yeah, no, I think that this is just the beginning. It's just phase one. That's why I gave a timeline and a benchmark. So after the end of the 40 days, then we'll figure out who's next. But I think principle of jail is you got to fight one person first. So I think that we got to go after Target. And then I think Amazon and the others come right after.
Yeah, I think it was important what he just said, the principle of jail, because these are prison bonds, right? That the administration is trying to put everybody in, especially people of color. That is a very, very great, I think, metaphor there.
For sure, for sure. Before let us know how we have some friends and family out there watching. How can we tap into New Birth on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday Bible study?
You can be my best friend. Thank you so very much. So I ask that you'll go to newbirth.org. or go to New Birth NBC at all social media platforms. And our Bible says actually on Tuesday night.
Oh,
So I ask
okay.
that you all will please tap in tonight, but go to newbirth.org and New Birth on YouTube, and all of our services are streamed live.
Okay. All right. And I'll be at Phillips Temple Seeing Me Church on Sunday, and I'm gonna be talking about the Target fast because it's their social justice Sunday.
Thank you. Do a great job. I appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
All right.
Okay.
Well, Dr. Jamal Bryant, thanks so much for joining the Black Presses. Let it be known, we really appreciate you and all that you're doing with this 40-day fast and more.
Thank you. Honored to be a part. Hope to see you again soon.
Peace and love.
Absolutely.
Peace.
Wow. Well, Neil, there you have it. Dr. Jamal Bryant has laid the gauntlet down.
For sure, for sure. And see, he even caught the references of the flag too, Stacy.
I see. Listen, I you got me. But again, right? So he brought out some things about that performance too that like you were talking about before the show, during the show. So folks, yeah, I guess you gotta watch. Chuck D always says, you gotta watch with your ears as much as you watch with your eyes. So
Hmm.
it's really interesting. So Neil, it's another busy Tuesday, another busy day period, and we often talk about with this administration,
Hmm.
him throwing stuff everywhere, right? Him just
Right.
eh, oh, we have to be mindful that that's going to continue, but we have to also be mindful not only that it's going to continue, but what we need to focus on, right? Because
Right.
there's too much, not too much, but there's an awful lot that's going on. And we mentioned several things this morning. These are important. Food prices, the price of eggs in particular, but thought is very important. And what might not seem so important is that story we brought about the bribery, him allowing that, him taking doing an executive order to say we're removing that law or whatever, right? Because those type of things, when you have shenanigans going on with foreign entities, they do affect prices and other things in America.
For sure, for sure.
'Cause somebody's
And
being enriched.
right, somebody's being enriched, and it's not just abroad. I mean, he's enriching corporations here in the States, and so sometimes, like they're saying, it's so much that this administration is throwing at us, it's hard to pay attention to what. But just like, for example, right now we're talking about foreign affairs bribery, but Pastor Brian brought up Guantanamo Bay. And if you think about the history of privatized prisons, we know that Geo and Core Civic are friends of Donald Trump. They have their retreats at his golf courses. Okay. So when you think about, okay, is this really about immigration or is this really about the new pipeline to prison? And is this, because the Latinos and Mexicans are really the new majority? That's what they really don't want to say. People of color are the new majority, and that petrifies white folks, white men in particular. And so when you look at privatized prisons, Guantanamo Bay is not for immigration reform. It's to put prices on those individuals so that Geo and Core Civic can make money. And so you could look at that as something here in our country, and then just think about what they're doing in foreign affairs that we have no clue about. This we just don't know, and
Yeah.
it's scary. And from a protest at Target to Guantanamo Bay to foreign affairs, we really have to mobilize our people to be more concerned about these issues, just as they're concerned about TikTok.
It's true. And another note, we have just a couple minutes left, but another note I keep finding, and it happened again yesterday. Trump again alluded to a third term, and we keep hearing this, and it is something to watch. He was asked yesterday too. I thought was a very interesting question and a more interesting response. Does he see his vice president, JD Vance, as his successor? And he gave a quick, sharp no to that question. And this was on Fox News. And
He is a
and
hot mess.
yes, but here's the thing. This man has you remember, and so these are things, and Greer has always been good about pointing these things out. Like during the show, um, he started saying last year that basically there wouldn't be no other you know races for presidency. In fact, he said he told his supporters back in the spring, this is the last time you're going to have to vote. Yeah, I mean, he outwardly said that at his rally. This
Mhm.
just one more time. And so he has obviously in that head of his, among the other diabolical things that go on in that head, he has this idea that he is a dictator. He is a king.
And I think with all of that being said, as much as they're pushing their agenda through, I hope that the Democratic Party is thinking about this next cycle of elections and taking all of this information and using it to prepare to take back over Congress. Because if they don't, he's going to get his way
Oh yeah.
because
Oh
we're not
yeah.
going to be able to stop it.
Yeah, but here's a question too, and maybe you can do better at answering the question than I can because it's kind of perplexing in a way. And it's been brought up a few times. They have the Democrats were in power, right?
Mhm.
They had the majority in Congress for a while, and yet Republicans were able to hold up some initiatives, some laws that Democrats wanted to pass. They were able to block it successfully. Now we hear Hakeem Jeffries and other Democrats now saying, "Oh well, they have the Senate, they have the House, they have the White House. We have no power." That isn't it a little disconcerting that the Democrats are seemingly conceding that there's nothing we can do because the Republicans was on the other side too. Like I said, they were in the minority for a little while too.
I'll I mean, it's a different administration. I mean, during that time, there was a sense of respect for the institutions of our government. We're in a time now where you have a leader that wants to be a king and he's running his administration like he's a king. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a different time.
Mhm.
And Democrats need to figure out how to readjust, realign, and resist during this time. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. And I'll give
Yeah.
Democrats that.
Yeah.
It's not. Democrats are very respectful. And this is a time where, you might have to be like a Fannie Lou Hamer or a Harriet Tubman or, somebody that resists. There's no decorum. You
Right.
can have respect, but there's no decorum. And now it's just gloves off, it's time to fight.
Right. Right. Wow. They need. We keep saying it. We've said it many times on this program, Neil. They need more Jasmine Crockett's and AOC's in their lives. They really
Yeah.
do.
For
Oh
sure.
my
And I
gosh.
mean, and they're on the front line. Like we saw last week, they were at the Treasury Department. They pulled up to the Department of Education. I mean, they're trying to do things. And then they need the people. Like I cannot stress enough that constituents have power. And so if they're asked, if you don't like what's happening and you have people telling you to pull up, call Congress, you gotta do it. You got to call, you have to apply pressure. It's not just up to Congress, it's not just up to judges, it's not up to the three branches of government. We the constituents have power. And people like Dr. Jamal Bryant, Black Press, they're trying to, lead us into ways of organized, resistance. And so we can learn from these examples, but also there is a space for us to do our job. And right now, it's to call Congress when your local Congress member is in the district. Typically on weekends, they come back home on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Pull up to the town hall meetings. Pull up to their offices. Know who your district director is. Know who your field representative is. Make your issues and your requests known. And that's how we collectively make change.
Person says that prehistoric Senate rules allow one senator in the minority to halt nominations by the White House. Minority Senate Dems need to do that to the majority GOP. They just don't seem to have that will. But I get what you're saying. I think what you're saying is right. I think that this is a different time. That you have those. I believe you have a fair amount of Republicans who don't agree with Donald Trump but is going along with Donald Trump out of fear. And
Right.
some maybe simply out of the fact that he's enriching their pockets and his policies are not necessarily affecting them personally. That's
Exactly.
what you got there, I believe
Yeah,
anyway.
for sure. And think about it, when you get into Congress, you have all of this power. You're trying to be on your committees, you want your seats.
Yeah.
All these things line up to how you move in DC. And so, if we, the people, can threaten that power that we have empowered our local Congress members, we can help we can help them make change because they don't want to lose that seat. Okay, they don't want to leave Congress. That's why you have so many people in Congress that are staying beyond their time. And that's a whole nother conversation with the whole tenure situation. But it's the power thing. So we have to learn how to know where their power is. And we, the constituents, we, the people, can take that power if we mobilize and collectively work together.
Yeah. Well, we are going to see what happens. But we again appreciate Dr. Jamal Bryant and that information. And there, and obviously, it's been, if you want to measure it, 1 week and they got over 50,000 signatures. That's been a success already.
Right, right. Yeah.
So here we
And
are.
he's giving you time. He's giving you time to prepare, like we're in Lent is connected to Mardi Gras and partying and having a good time. So he's giving you time
He's
to have a good
allowing
time.
for it. Yeah.
But the day after Mardi Gras, that Wednesday, time to get to work.
There you go. Well, again, thanks. Greer says, Neil, that we are going to have Jasmine Crockett on. So I'm looking forward to that.
For
I'm sure
sure.
you are. So we
Yeah, for
will,
sure.
and we'll let
We
you guys know exactly when. But go ahead,
Yeah,
Neil.
we need to, which we are working on now, having a relationship with the Congressional Black Caucus. And we need a congressional member on every week to let us know what's happening up there, how we can participate, be involved, and what we need to know. Because right now, all of the information, if you think about we're getting, is from mainstream media. And so the things that we can't even be excited for what they are doing because we really don't know.
Well, like you said, yeah, it's beneficial for both the CBC and for the Black press to have that relationship. So we got to make it happen, and I'm sure we will.
For
We'll
sure.
make it happen. Niel, it's always a privilege. Looking forward to the next day with Niel and you guys as well. Thanks for watching. Let
Likewise.
it be known. Please hit the subscribe button on our YouTube page and please share. She says, tell Greer to, Orange G, not she. He says, tell Greer to book Tim Scott. Another conversation.
I'm not mad at that. Hey, I want to know how he feels about not being appointed to anything. Where's his black job at? I want to know. Where's his black job in the Trump administration? And
We
see, I
need
know
to
you're
know,
not okay
Tim.
with it.
We need to know.
We need to
Where's that
know.
black job? We'll see you tomorrow and let it be known. Thanks so much for watching.
Salutations! It's your Uncle Sam, and this is the Great American Game.
Handshakes and hugs. The energy only circulate through us. Everybody must be judged, but this time God only favoring us.